they were trying to cut out the middleman and go right to source. They said Apple and Intel knew the source of the raw materials. They were looking to do the same. So I think it's the beginning of a big wave of big companies that are going to acquire raw materials from the source. They don't want to rely on the COMEX.
Especially that first time we talked and you were mentioning Samsung. And then I'd also seen that link Jorge from Reina Silver had mentioned, David, regarding Avino, an agreement that Avino had directly with Samsung. And that whole part of the silver industry is a bit of a black box to many, myself included. And I was wondering if you could just put it in perspective to folks, maybe even starting with, once you get the silver out of the ground, what do you do with it? Where does it go? And we can dig in from some of the other parts from there.
Sure. Well, we mine it, and once it comes out of the ground, it goes through our mill. We produce a concentrate, which we put in 40-ton trucks. It goes to Manzanillo, and then it gets sampled there by an independent assayer, and then goes on a freighter over to Asia to smelters over there. And basically, our agreement is with Samsung, and so we cut out the middleman. They approached us back in 2015. They were following the developments of the company. I said, why Avino? They said, it's a family-run business like Samsung. So they like that because my father founded the company over 50 years ago. So we did a offtake agreement with them, and it's plain vanilla. So there's no discount. That they were trying to cut out the middleman and go right to source. They said Apple and Intel knew the source of the raw materials. They were looking to do the same. So I think it's the beginning of a big wave of big companies that are going to acquire raw materials from the source.
Yeah, and actually, perhaps you could touch on that a little further, that it's not just Samsung, but you are hearing other companies and large industrial users of silver are looking at the same option.
Well, they don't want to rely on the COMEX, as you brought up before, so they want to get it right from the source.
And why is that they don't want to rely on the COMEX?
Supply and demand issues, keeping the warehouse stocked, and then there was issues in the past, as it's raising margin requirements, and really making the price volatile and unsteady. So they just want a steady supply of material.
And so some of the industrial users actually vocalize that they've had issues with the COMEX and the way it's run.
Well, they didn't say that directly to me, but it's obvious. They're coming to us. We've had calls from other big Hyundai, from big companies that want whatever metals that come out of the ground. They need them.
So even the industrial users maybe are not saying it in those exact words, but their actions are dictating that. They're saying there has to be a better way to get the input for something we need rather than going to the COMEX.
Well, look at like Glencore, for instance, starting small with these mines and eventually taking them out. So I think that's what's coming, with Samsung and these other companies. They're starting small. They don't want to make mistakes. And so they've already told me they've been mandated to find 10 more Avinos. So but not an easy thing to check all the boxes like us, but yeah, they're methodically building up that department.
And Chris, just on that note, I've heard with other materials as well, like Tesla potentially getting into the lithium mining game for battery minerals. So you're kind of seeing this across industries and across commodities, and certainly Samsung being one of the largest electronics producers in the world, and silver being a key requirement for that, whether it's solar panels.
But also
or it's
copper. I mean, they need copper. Samsung C&T, they build huge high rises and all kinds of big projects. They need copper. They need it. Yeah. They need everything. I think they consume a ton of gold annually and 5 tons of silver. So they're consuming a lot.
Yeah. Samsung's actually building the dam in our home province here, where we have a big hydroelectric project that's being built and being managed by Samsung, believe it or not. So the silver we're selling them could be and copper we're selling them could end up coming back to our home province.
So let me make sure I understand this right. if the silver producers aren't thrilled with the COMEX, and now even the industrial users are finding ways to avoid the COMEX, what role is the COMEX filling at this point?
Maybe you should say. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's able to satisfy demand. So there's big discrepancies, and yeah, it's just not crystal clear. So I think that's why the companies are coming directly to the source.